Today's episode of Glen's Retro Show is brought to you by DNA Dimension Designs, the best custom retro gaming decals in the game, period.
I would like to say to everyone, anything done in this video is being done at your own risk. I can't be held responsible for any damage that happens to your machine, your house, or your relationship playing too many games that's happening in this video. Please remember, if you do attempt this, know what you're doing it at your own risk. That's it. Let's get into the video. Hi everybody, thank you for joining me on today's edition of Glen's Retro Show. This is going to be basically part 2 to what I posted recently about doing some hacks to the Arcade1UP machines. Now this is the main brains of it. It's actually behind the monitor itself, and it contains the game code, sound effects, ways to access your controllers, and so forth. It turns out there is right over here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, I'll give you a better shot as well, but up here on the board there is actually a USB host controller on there. That basically means we can connect, in theory, keyboard, mouse, trackball via USB, maybe even a thumb drive with additional game ROMs on it, and get them to load on here. Now I haven't done so yet. A lot of people on the Arcade1UP fan page has already gone crazy doing this, and it doesn't seem to work on them all. The Capcom unit appears to run a custom emulator where it doesn't seem to work. The jury's still out also on the Pac-Man unit. We're not sure if it works on that one. We do know that it definitely works on the Centipede units, the Rampage unit, and the 12-in-1 units. Now, I got some sample units from Arcade1UP and I refused to modify them. I don't think that's right. But this guy right here, this 12-in-1, I did purchase, and we're going to take a look at that. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to solder a USB connector onto here and simply connect the keyboard. Now when we do that, that'll give us access to some of the features in MAME. Yes, this guy right here is running MAME version 0.139. So we can adjust some things. Now since we have a trackball and a spinner on here, we should be able to adjust the sensitivity for them as well. And let's find out. So the first thing we need to do is get it inside this unit, take this little boy out, and solder on a USB header on there. So let's get started on that.
Okay, so here's my Arcade1UP 12-in-1. Just a nice side shot. Not a huge fan of the black Centipede logo. I definitely like the white one, but we have to get to the back, so I'm just turning the machine around here. And you can see here's the back. We have our power cord coming out down here, some ventilation, the 2 screws holding the back cover on, and this is, I guess put your finger in here to take the back cover off, but we're actually going to run our USB out of here, so it's kind of nice at the perfect spot for it right there. So we see we're going to take out just these 1-2 screws over here, and then pull this back panel off gently. So you're going to pull it back and up a little bit just to get out of the slot, but you probably built the machine, so you probably know that already. Here's the inside of the unit, and this is the box we're going to want. Just be very careful with anything in here. Again, you're doing this, I want to again say it again, this is being done, if you're following my procedure here, at your own risk. I can't be held responsible if you do any damage to these things. They are very delicate. Any electronics is delicate, and you always run the risk of damaging it. So if you are doing this, please make sure you're aware of the risks. So we're going to just basically have to get access to that box back there. And first we want to do is unplug the power cord here, take this off. Then we're going to have 2 screws, one here and one on the other side that we do need to remove. Here's a close-up shot. Just a Phillips head. You're going to take this screw out on this side right over here. And then take out the other one on the other side. As soon as you do, this whole cover should come right off, no problem. And here is the inside. And it's even marked 12-in-1, so you know what it is. Basically an IDE cable here for your controls. You want to grab this and very gently pull it straight back out. Don't pull it from side to side. You risk bending the pins. Pull this straight out. This is your grounding wire. This screw you have to take out. Again, be very gentle with these 4 screws. They can strip very easily. Just take your time taking these off. This is your grounding wire. And then you have your video. I assume this will be a backlight here. Once again, be very careful pulling this out. You don't want to break these wires. This does have to come off. You want to pull it straight out. And this is your video feed here for your display. Again, these wires are delicate, be very careful. Also, pull this straight out, be very careful. Try, if you can, pry from below gently versus pulling on the wires themselves. And again, be very careful with any static electricity around any of this stuff here. It's all susceptible to an ESD charge and getting damaged. And these 4 little pads, these are the little devils we want right over in this little corner here. That's where we're going to be plugging our USB device. Here's just a closer up shot. Again, these are our 4 pads we have to deal with here right up against this aluminum or tin outer casing. The power jack, the IDE cable, again, pull this straight out. Be very careful. I mean, they're pretty robust, but you have to be very careful. Especially, don't put pressure down on here. It looks like I am, but I'm not. You don't want to have to fray the wire on this. Your grounding wire over here. This is for your, I believe, your backlight and power. I'm not 100% sure, but again, try and pull it from the plastic here versus pulling on these cables. They're very delicate. And the same, this cable here, these cables are for your display. Be very careful. Try and pull it as low as possible when taking it off the main board. So here is the unit on my desk here. Now, I took out the 4 screws. I will be taking out the 4 screws. It looks like they used some type of adhesive still to hold this down in here. You could probably pry it out somehow. I'm good enough with a soldering iron and working in small spaces where I end up leaving it in here. So again, I want to let you be aware that even if you take out these 4 screws in the 4 corners, there is some type of adhesive still holding this board down. I suppose you can try bending all this out, but again, you're running the risk of damaging things here, so you really need to know what you're doing if you're attempting this particular mod, or do what I do. I left it in the tin and worked from there. I have the wires going this way anyway. Most people soldered it outwards. I soldered it inwards, and you'll see why in a little bit. Okay, so here is a USB cable I'm going to be working on. You have just 4 wires in here. Red, your positive, black is your negative, and then you have your positive and negative data. I'm using a helping hand to hold it here. But it's very important you have a good flux. This is a good liquid flux. It doesn't matter whose you get, but it has to be a good liquid flux for electronics. And you're just going to dab it on the tips here so you can very easily tin it with your soldering iron. If you don't tin these things with flux, it's not going to hold very well when you solder them together. They're going to come off pretty easily. You will not have a good connection, and it's just harder overall to do the work. To do invest in a flux liquid, I spent like $2 on this, so it's not a big deal. The next thing you want to make sure you have, this is called captain's tape, or it's really K, captain's tape. I never say it right. But in any case, it's an electronics tape that's very heat resistant and doesn't conduct electricity. And when you're working so close to all this metal around here, I put some captain's tape in the area, and I'll show you where I put it. It's just good to have. Again, it's not very expensive, and it's really worth its weight in gold, so you don't risk damaging something with a short of some kind. Okay, so you can see I have my USB cable coming in to the left of the controller header. There's just enough room to put this in where it doesn't interfere with your cable, so I brought it in over this way. I did use a little bit of hot glue to take strain off of the wire, and basically you can see I have captain's tape here underneath to make sure nothing shorts on the main board, and I put captain's tape over here just to make sure none of the wires could ever go across and short that way. So it's pretty simple. You have your black wire, your white wire, your green wire, and your red wire. Let me see if I can zoom that in a little bit just so you can see it a little bit better. Zoom in just a second. Come across over here and drag it over. There's a processor, which is nice. So here we go. So you can see, just make sure you have no shorts. We have the flux really helps the solder flow on here, and you get a nice good bubble, good solid connection with these guys. No one's touching, which is important. This one probably could run over a little bit higher. You can see there's still plenty of room. There's no issue here. And the hot glue is just being put down here to hold this cable in place so these wires are not being pulled. And the captain's tape here, just make sure there's no shorts going across the device. And let's bring this back out here again. And that's really it. And then it's really just putting the device back in, and again, it's reversing everything that you did. We have to reconnect our main ribbon cable, our 2 monitor cables, our grounding wire, and then just put everything back in place. Again, take your time. Don't tighten anything too much and strip any of the wires or the metal. The tins could probably strip relatively easily. And if you didn't have an extension cable like I had here, You could probably put a USB dongle right in here, but then you have to go inside the unit, take it apart. I didn't want to do that. So I have my cable coming out, and it's actually coming out this hole right here. You can see it's just coming out of the bottom of the device, and it fits perfectly right outside that hole, like it was designed for that. And you can see it's just sitting right there. It'll go in without going in all the way. But you can also pull it out as needed. Okay, let's take a look at how the device works.
Okay, so here is our 12-in-1 unit put back together, put back in place. On the back we have the USB extension cable. Now I did try a couple of keyboards. This is a wired USB keyboard. This one seems to work just fine. I had connected a wireless one, and that one did not work. Now it could be because the length of cable I have coming off of the USB header on the main board to my extension, it might be long enough where there's enough of a current drop where it's not supplying enough power to the USB dongle on the device. That's something I'll look at a later date. I'll check the voltages out. But for right now, let's just see if this works. So we're going to turn the machine on. And we get our normal boot logo. Now I just want to let you know I have not modified the spinner on this one yet. It's still kind of clicky. But we'll go through the list. And you can see currently we have just the normal games we have with the 12-in-1. Going through the whole list here. We're back, a couple more. 12 games. We're back at the top. I'm going to go into the Asteroids Deluxe just because that's the first game on the list. But this should work in pretty much any of the games on the machine. So we have the game loaded up. Now all I'm going to do is press the tab key. Now the tab key, same thing you would do in MAME itself. And it didn't work. Sometimes it looks like I have to come here and reset this over here. So let's do this. And here's our menu. Now I have noticed sometimes the keyboard is connected when you first turn it on. Sometimes it's not recognized. You may have to disconnect and reconnect your USB like I had to do just now. And we have some options on here. So I'll get a close-up angle in a second. But right now we have input game, diff switches, bookkeeping, game information, slider controls, video game, video options, select a new game. Now that's the interesting one. So right now I'm going to take a look at that. I'm going to press enter. And we do have the Asteroid Deluxe, Asteroids, Crystal Castle, Centipede, Gravitar, Liberator, Lunar Lander, Major Havoc, Millipede, Missile Command, Quantum, which is what you'd expect down here. There's also a Quantum 1, a Quantum P, Super Breakout, and Tempest. So those are all the games that are on here. I'm going to actually go down to Super Breakout because that's the one I find interesting. And I would wish they had put it on here because the spinner's on here, but I'm going to press enter on that. Sure enough, if you can see, there is Super Breakout. I'm going to press the 1 player to put a coin in. Now again, my spinner here is not that good. I'm going to press this button again, and the third time should launch a ball. Or do I have to press the A button? Maybe it's the A button I got to press. There it goes. Ooh. Try that again. You can see the spinner right now is just too clicky. I can't use the trackball. It's just too clicky to go. I'll try it again. No good. So this is definitely going to benefit from a spinner modification. But the fact that it's here at all is pretty cool. I may have used up all my balls. The game is over. Okay, let's put another coin in. Try it one more time so we can hit anything on here. Oh, I missed again! Come on, I can hit one of these. Oh! Oh! Man, this spinner makes it really difficult. One more ball. Come on, come on. Oh, I got one! This is pretty neat. Like a really cool Easter egg. The volume, I'll have to adjust, but the volume is very loud even on the lowest setting. Okay, there's no way I was getting it after that. So when you're done with this game here, I'm just going to press the tab button. and we can go to, let's go to dip switch settings. I just want to see what's in there. So we have different languages, coin for credit, extended play, lives, service mode. I'm going to go back to the main menu. And there's all these different options we can select. I'm going to go back to the game. I don't think I can go back to the main menu though. Maybe I can go select a new game. Alright, I'm going to try going into the Asteroid Deluxe, just because I want to see if I can get back to the main menu from there. So I'm going to go back to Asteroids Deluxe. My save's high score is still here. I'm going to just try pressing and holding the player 1 button, which normally would take me back to the main menu. And it does. So that's kind of neat. So now I'm going to do this again, but a closer camera angle so you guys can see a little bit more what's going on here. Okay, so here's my closer view of the screen right here. And again, we have all the different games on here. We can select with the trackball or with the rotating spinner. This time let's go into Tempest. I'll do it from that side, just to do it from a different area. Press the start button. I'm going to go into the game, and I'm obviously now in Tempest right now. And what I'm going to do is press tab. Here's my keyboard. Press tab. And you can see it did bring up a menu. And I'm going to zoom in just for a little bit, just so you can kind of see what the options are right there. See if I can zoom in a little bit here. So you can see we have input general. And that gives the keyboard up and down arrows here. Input this game, dip switch settings. Let's go into there for a second. You can see the different options we have in here for the upright, difficulty, coinage, bonus lives, and so forth. So I'm going to go back. Analog controls, and that's going to be our trackball. And you can see we have different levels of sensitivity. I kind of like it where everything is. And actually, it's not the trackball sensitivity. This will be the rotating pot, the paddle sensitivity. But I kind of find it okay. It just needs to be adjusted. So I'm not going to change anything here, but you obviously can. Bookkeeping info doesn't really tell you much that we're going to care about right now. Game information just tells you a little bit about the machine, 1980. The CPU and the sound was a Poke chip, which was used in a lot of the Atari 8-bit line, which is pretty cool. And video is vector. Slider controls. Master volumes. You can now adjust if you find that the volume of the machine is too high or too low for you. You can obviously make some changes right here to that. Screen contrast. Positions. Vector flicker. Beam width. That's something I would like to adjust because I do think that the beams could be a little bit more stronger. But I'm going to go, not make any changes right now. I'm going to go back. Video options here. There is a bezel. It says enabled, but there's probably nothing in the machine to take it, which is kind of a shame. You can rotate the screen, and we're going to go select a new game. So I'm going to go, just for a minute here, down to a game that uses a trackball. So I'm going to actually I'll go to Millipede. So here's Millipede. Hit the tab button again. We have input this game. Let's see what we have in here. You can see we have all the different controls here for the buttons, for the trackball, and so forth. But we're not going to make any changes to here. So I'm going to go down to, let's see, analog controls. Now in here, you can check the sensitivity for your trackball. Again, I don't have a problem with the trackball. Some people feel it's too sensitive. Other people feel it's not sensitive enough. But you can come in here and make changes. Now, for this particular video, we're going to cut it off pretty much at this spot right here. But other things I'm going to try is seeing if we can actually load ROMs off of the external USB. So those are other things that we're going to try. Let me zoom back out here. Okay, so that's pretty neat. I mean, this does not work on all of the Arcade1UP machines. Not all of them are using MAME. We've pretty much confirmed for the most part that it does not work on the Street Fighter II cabinet. It may not work on the Pac-Man cabinet. A few people have tried, have not seemed to be able to get into anything. It does seem to work on the Rampage unit, and it obviously works here in the 12-in-1. And the fact this has Breakout on here is fantastic. I mean, I loved Breakout, let alone Super Breakout. This has to be upgraded though. I mean, this can be made a little bit better. I have a company in China working on a new actual arcade spinner designed for the Arcade1UP. I'm hoping in a few weeks to get a sample, and maybe we can start getting that tested and hopefully get people to buy that, because I think it's going to work really well. It spins and spins and spins. It'd be great for those type of games. But just the fact this has the option now to get into MAME, making adjustments to sensitivity for the trackball, sensitivity for the spinner, even change the layout. Like it does work on the Rampage. If you don't like the layout of the controls, a lot of people don't seem to like the button layout, you can now change that. You now have access to the dip switches of the machines to make other modifications to it. I think that's fantastic. It's a shame it doesn't work on all of them, but you know what? That's okay. what are you going to do? At least it works on a couple of them, and I'm pretty excited about it. And I want to thank the people in my official Arcade1UP fan page. I'm not the first person to attempt this. A lot of people on my fan page have already done so into the middle of the night doing it. And also, I want to give a shout out to this guy right here. He's the person who actually discovered all these on rededit. So big thanks out to him, and I hope he joins us over at the official Arcade1UP fan page, because he deserves some kudos for this fantastic work. So everyone, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And remember, game on, my friends. There was one thing I forgot to mention. I don't have a USB trackball or mouse handy. I do have one of these handy. Now this is actually a pen mouse, if you will. You're supposed to be able to take your finger and simply draw on the table, but it works just like a mouse. So why don't we test this out in Centipede? So people don't like the trackball in here, and they may buy a very good encoded USB trackball of some kind. So let's see what happens here. I'm gonna put a coin in, and let's see if my character moves. And as you can see, it is. I'm not sure if I can shoot though. Nope, can't shoot. But you can see USB mice, trackballs, and stuff will work. And my hand, I'm sorry, my hand's in the way there. There we go. I want to make sure you can see that I'm moving the guy here very easily. So this is huge. This means that a USB mouse, USB spinner, a USB trackball theoretically should work. So I just wanted to add that. I forgot to put that in the main part of the video, so I threw it in now. So again, thanks for watching, everyone. I appreciate it. If you did like the video, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment down below. I really appreciate them all. Thank you to my current subscribers, and remember, game on, everyone.
Glen at the Tiny Arcade fan page. Remember, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you.
Sit, Blue Blue, sit. Good dog.